Welcome to Style for Life. I'm Stephanie Rumble, fashion stylist, accountability coach, and your guide to feeling good in your body and your clothes. Based in Christchurch, New Zealand, I bring over 3 decades of experience in fashion, fitness, and wellness to help you feel strong, stylish, and self-assured. Together, we'll explore the emotional, physical, and practical sides of style because true confidence starts from within. No matter your age or size, you deserve to feel confident and show up as the best version of you. I truly believe this. This is Style for Life. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast today. It's really good to see you. I have had a 2-week break, which is the first 2-week break I've actually had in 2 years of doing the podcast. I went on holiday and just needed some time to reset, rethink about the podcast and come back to it. So here we are back. So today we're going to talk about how to dress for work in winter. Now, I know for some of you who are listening in other parts of the world, it is actually not winter, it is the middle of summer. But here in Otaki, Christchurch, New Zealand, it is actually really cold. It's July, and it means that we're getting daily highs, sometimes up to 15 degrees, but sometimes only up to single figures. And we can get lows under 0. So this morning, the temperature when I left for work this morning was -1 degree. So we were under 0. And I know, again, in some of the countries that some of you are from, it is even colder than that in winter. So hopefully, if you're not listening to this podcast in the season that it's produced, you may listen to it in your season of winter, and hopefully it's helpful for you. So I haven't talked about work or corporate clothing for a while because I've been talking about lots of other things, really. But here we are today, and we're going to talk about corporate or work clothing. Now, in New Zealand, work clothing has become a lot more casual than it used to be. People used to think of work clothing only being a suit. Very much that is not the case nowadays. We don't always have to wear a suit to work, and a suit was a very staid, conservative outfit for people to wear to work in the past. And nowadays it's totally not. It's actually very fun, and there's lots of cool options that come with wearing a suit, which is generally just matching jacket and something else. It could be a matching jacket, and we're talking about females here, a matching jacket and dress, a matching jacket and skirt, a matching jacket and skirt, a matching jacket and trousers, or sometimes it could just be a matching shirt and jacket. There's all sorts of things that are covered by the terminology of suit. But we are today going to talk more about how to get your wardrobe to work for you in winter, how to dress for winter in a way that's really appropriate, and also to make your wardrobe work for you. Because a lot of the time our wardrobe, we think of things only in categories. I can only wear this here and that there, rather than thinking about how we can wear our wardrobe across many different categories. Rather than, when I'm talking about categories, I'm talking about work, play, entertainment. How can we wear our wardrobe in all of those ways? So I think the first thing I want to say is that work and casual clothes can go both places. So for example, the shirt I have on today, which I bought in Switzerland a couple of years ago, it's a long sleeve silk shirt. I would 100% wear it in the weekend with a pair of jeans, and then I'd wear it to work with a pair of work trousers, and I could wear it with a skirt. There's all sorts of places I could wear it. The blazer I'm wearing, I could wear with jeans, and I could make it casual. I could wear it over a dress. I could wear it like I am with something more corporate, and the shoes and everything change that up. So when we think of work clothing, I think importantly to think is that structure is what our work clothing is about. So when you think about a piece of clothing being worn in the corporate world, it's usually a piece of clothing that's tailored or has some structure to it. So for example, a blazer as opposed to a soft fit jacket, right? So something that's got a wee bit more structure. It's usually that third piece, or if it's a pair of trousers, it's a pair of trousers that are more tailored rather than being more casual like we might see in, say, for example, a pair of lighter jeans or in a very loose pair of trousers, or even stretchy exercise style trousers, which would be inappropriate for a corporate workplace. So I think when we're thinking about dressing for winter wardrobes for work, we want to think about how we can stay warm but still look corporate. So for example, today it's been cold this morning. So we want to layer natural breathable fabrics like wool, silk, and cashmere beneath a suit, a tailored suit or structured separate, which is a slim-fitting base layer. Now, I actually had the fortunate experience of purchasing some very good ones of these when I was in Australia a couple of weeks ago from Uniqlo, and they were a cashmere blend, very fine knit, and they were very warm, but also very fine. So today, for example, I have a long sleeve shirt on, which I've told you all that I have on, and you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the long sleeve shirt, but I also had a blazer over the top. So my blazer is what I got from Sandro in Spain, I think, last year. So, and underneath this particular garment, I also have a merino, a thin merino singlet, because it has been quite cold here, and that gives me that extra bit of warmth without taking away from the corporate look of the clothing. Now, you've got to watch the pieces you wear underneath your corporate clothing, that they don't distract and make it look casual or unkempt or a bit scruffy. So, for example, when you're wearing a neckline like I am, which isn't super high necked, you do not want a higher necked thermal, because otherwise that will distract and you'll look not put together. And you want to look put together at work, so your clothing's not distracting. That's really what it's about. So something that's sitting underneath, that's not distracting, that's providing you with warmth. That's the first thing. Or sometimes you might want to wear that slimmer piece actually just underneath a jacket. So when the weather warms up, you can take the jacket off. Now here in Christchurch, it is very cold in the morning. So the base layer singlet and the shirt are probably comfortable now for us to wear in an office environment or a work environment during the day. And the jacket is appropriate for us to take if we're leaving the office. And then we might add a scarf, and we might even add a coat over that when it's really, really cold. So those slim-fitting thermal base layers are really, really helpful when it's really cold. Now, if it's super cold, you could also add another layer. So, for example, you could have a shirt with a base layer underneath. You could have a singlet layer and then a long sleeve layer. So that's two underneath before we start. Then the shirt. Then you could add a cardigan, then a jacket. Now, if you're someone who runs hot, you're never going to have to worry about any of this. But if you're someone who runs cold, and I tend to run a little cold, then you'll find that these particular layers can make you still look smart and put together in the winter, as opposed to, as I said, feeling like you're full of chunky old layers. And the key is to get the fine layers. So if you're looking for those fine layers in New Zealand, Icebreaker is a really great option for merino. And merino is good because it helps conduct heat because it's wool fibres, which allow the heat to be trapped. You're better with a natural fibre on that base layer. So if you want to look, 3 podcasts ago, I talked about the fibre content of clothes and how to check out the fabrics that you're wearing and what they're made of. And those natural fibres perform a lot better as base layers than a synthetic fibre. So you can get them, there's a company called Lyric as well. Bend On Underwear also does some really good base layers. I've seen some very innovative, lovely silk, cashmere, merino layers that will last the test of time. And again, if you're listening out of New Zealand and you want to try Uniqlo is a Japanese brand, and they do some great base layers. So I had a really good time here in Australia with my client. We had a really good look around, and there's some really good base layers there, that really good options. So you don't have to just have a base layer of black, for example. Like, that would be terrible under what I'm wearing. You want to think of your base layers being something that's going to work with your clothing. So most of my base layers are cream, peach, natural colour, because I don't tend to wear a lot of dark colours. I do have some black singlets and black thermals, but think about the colour being appropriate for your clothing as well. We tend to all think we need black underneath layers. And if you have a palette or a colouring that actually doesn't look great in black, you're probably going to be better getting some of those lighter underlayers. So just think a little bit about that as well. So how else can we look good in winter when it's actually really, really cold? So have a think again, like I've talked about the base and mid layers, those really thin, great quality thermals underneath. Avoid bulky cotton thermals that cause extra bulk around the waistline, extra bulk around the shoulders and arms, and just make you feel uncomfortable, or they bunch up under tailored trousers or fitted blouses. I know, for example, I've got a pair of really slim-fitting trousers by Bardot, which is an Australian label, and they're really slim fitting through the hips, slimmer fitting sometimes than others, depending on where my body's at. And if I wear them in winter and I have to wear a thermal and then a shirt, I'm often really hot and I feel really uncomfortable and tight around the top. So in the summer, they're great. A thin layer can tuck into them if that's what's needed. So just watch that they are the right weight to go underneath and fit with your other clothes, especially if they're close fitting. And you don't like things that are uncomfortable and bunchy, then be careful of the fiber content and the construction of the fabric. The other thing you can do too is think about wearing fabrics that are natural fibers for your mid layer. Like this is the layer I'm wearing now, like the shirt. This is a silk shirt. So silk conducts heat. I do know that and also is cooling. It's a really amazing fiber. So I know that I have some silk pajamas. I love wearing them. They're really good in the heat. They're really good in the cold. And it's really well known that silk does that. So if you're wearing something like silk, or you might even find you can get a fine merino, woven merino shirt, if it's that cold, that you can wear. So it gives you that slightly warmer top layer. I've got some fabrics and garments I wear in the winter that are this mid layer, and they are actually thicker. So when it's really cold, I put them on and I really enjoy wearing them. I don't need them in our climate here. If I was to be somewhere else in the world that doesn't get cold in the winter, I probably wouldn't need them as much, but they are useful here. So you can also think about putting a finer knit jersey or sweater underneath a blazer. So that's not really my vibe, but I have got a couple of turtleneck, short-sleeved, wool blend, sort of lacy. Mine are a bit more out there, obviously, because that's my clothing personality type, but they are wool and they are really warm. So if you just want to get a plain one in a nice colour, a really fine sweater or jersey can be a really great way of keeping warm, and you could actually have your base layers underneath that. So that can be a really good way to still look corporate, still look smart, but extend it into feeling comfortably warm as well. So those fine knits as well. So mine's from Zara. It's high necked and short sleeved, and it's quite fun. It was a new purchase this season, and it's a really good piece. So it's a short sleeve piece though. Another thing you could do as well, you could wear a shirt like I'm wearing and wear a vest over it, like a warm vest. And I have done that too. So I've popped on a shirt and then popped a woolen vest over the top, which looks really cute. Or even a warmer waistcoat can be a fun way of zhuzhing up a winter outfit. So a fun waistcoat, which might be in a colour that, for example, if I was to put one on over this outfit, I could choose a pink one, a white one, an orange one, or a yellow one, any of the colours that are in this shirt, which would look super fun over this particular shirt. In fact, I do have a V-neck woolen vest, which would look really nice over this. It's a woolen one, but again, a waistcoat gives you the extra layer. And it's interesting when you are in an environment where it's cooler outside, but a little bit warmer inside, having that extra layer just next to the chest where there's no wind chill factor can make a difference. So a fine knit sweater, a waistcoat, or thinking of your mid layer, this layer that I'm wearing here, being in a natural fiber, which is naturally going to feel a little bit warmer, can make a difference as well.
Have you ever wondered how you can be a fashion stylist with access to premium digital styling products? Do you want to be trained by the best in the industry and access these products that reflect fashion styling in 2025? If you do, then Image Innovators is absolutely the choice for you. This is because they have a network of over 1,000 trained fashion stylists worldwide, and you know when you work with them, you're getting the best of the best. They have evidence-based professional training offered by highly skilled facilitators that help you reach your absolute potential. This is a great alignment with Style for Life, as I in my business have used and endorsed their products for over 10 years with so many happy clients. And I'm really excited to say I'm also offering training to fashion stylists in conjunction with Image Innovators. So if you're ready to start your fashion styling training journey, then use the code BRIGHTRED25 for 10% off all products.
So think about your actual top layers too. So your trousers, your skirts, your dresses, your blazers. So think of them being made from a warmer fibre. So a heavyweight, warmer blend or heavy twill. So for example, this fabric, the fabric of my jacket that I was wearing today, it's not actually wool, it's a cotton, but it's a heavier weight fabric. So I'm just holding it up now so you can see it. It has a slump to it. It's thicker. It's a bit warmer. And I wear this jacket in winter. So it's a jacket from a brand called Salsa Jeans. And again, when I bought this, it was last year when I was away overseas, and it was so hot. And it was hard to be enthusiastic about it. But I did it because I wanted to buy something that was wintry, because I knew I was living in a cooler climate. And I'm so glad I did, because it's a really great jacket. So it's in that thicker, heavier fabric. Now, another really good hack is in winter, to stay looking great, if you want to wear really nice tailored trousers, say for example a wider leg trouser or a straight trouser, that straighter leg cut allows you to wear a longer sock underneath. Now, I'm personally not a fan of wearing tights or leggings underneath a pair of trousers. I find it far too bulky and uncomfortable. Just not my vibe. Some people like the full leggings under trouser thing. For me, it's just not comfortable. However, I do like to wear I've got 2 pairs of really good quality woolen trousers, so they're actually 100% wool, and they come out in the winter, and I will wear a long sock to the knee. I generally will wear an icebreaker long sock to the knee, and that keeps me really warm, or even a long boot. So those things, those kind of garments do help you to stay warm. So for example, I came back from Wellington last week. It was a really cold day when I travelled. I had wide leg trousers on. I travelled with 2 pairs of shoes, 3 actually. One was my running shoes. Then I had a more casual pair of loafers and a long pair of boots. And the long boots had looked nice with skirts and dresses over the course of the 2 days I was up there working. But on the way back in the plane, I had wide-legged trousers and I wore the long boots. Luckily, I didn't have to go through security, because they would have had to have come off, clearly. It was just a small airport. So that is another way of keeping you warm, but also looking stylish. So that wider leg cut, and it's actually on trend anyway, does look better. It is possible to put something warm underneath. Yeah, so if you're wearing a skirt and a dress and you want to look really nice, and it is really cold and it's wintry, so there's a couple of hacks here. So you can wear a thick pair of stockings or tights. I would say stockings with feet in them. And you can get fleece-lined tights. You can buy them. I know you can definitely buy them from Uniqlo in Australia, or you can buy them from Max here in New Zealand. And I'm pretty sure that the typical or the usual manufacturers of stockings, so we call them stockings here, like, I'm just trying to think of the brand, like Voodoo, Levante do the sheer stockings, which can be really good. Bonds does some thicker, fleecy-lined tight. And if you're in Europe, Calzedonia, I think it is, Calzedonia does them as well. So they actually have those thicker tights. So the fleecy lined, if you do really feel the cold underneath a skirt or a dress. And if you're wearing long boots, you can wear tights, then put socks over the top. I often would do that when it's really cold. Yeah, so again, we've talked about blazers, switching to a heavier fabrication. So my winter blazers and my summer blazers are quite different, just because of the seasons we have in New Zealand. In Christchurch, we have 4 seasons. We have winter, which is right now, and it's really cold. Then we have autumn, where we have some nice warm days, but cold mornings and evenings, which winter's a bit like that too. Then we have summer, which is still cold most of the time. Well, not as cold as winter, but coolish in the evenings and the mornings, and hot during the day. And then spring, which can be, it's just a little bit warmer. So we do have 4 seasons. So I have a wardrobe for summer and a wardrobe for winter. I literally switch them over at Labour weekend from switching from winter to summer, and then Easter switching from summer to winter. I always feel a bit sad about the Easter switch, because it's so much, I know I'm going into cold weather, but you've got to look at the positives as well. And the positives of living in cold weather, you get lots of fun layers to put on and lots of interesting clothes, and the mornings it can be really beautiful, really cold and frosty and interesting, and then they are really often quite nice. So yeah, heavier fabrications like tweed, velvet, wool blends, just those heavier fabrics. So not necessarily just the style, but like I showed you with the blazer before, having that heavier slubbed fabric. So something like a tweed is a fabric. It's the construction of the fabric and the way it's woven. It's usually a couple of colours, and those fabrics are usually a bit heavier. So you often see tweed used, especially in British settings or places where it's a bit cooler. There's some really interesting brands that do some really great things with some of those traditional fabrics. For example, in the weekend, I did a half marathon in Fairlie, and I wore a kilt because it was the Mackenzie half marathon and the theme was kilts. And then I went to a ceilidh that night, which is really interesting too. Same day, kilt worn twice. And I wore my kilt again. And again, it was cold weather. The kilt's 100% wool. I got it made in Scotland in the 90s. And it's really served the test of time. So a good quality garment will last the test of time too. So when it's cold and it's winter, there's some accessories that will work too for the work or the corporate environment. So when you think about the overcoat, so the overcoat can be a coat that you would wear over your blazer, and I've definitely done this. It's been a really cold start to the day. So I've put an overcoat over my blazer, shirt, etc., and all the layers underneath. And it's a structured overcoat. So, a classic cut is often a good way to go. Something that's like the pea coat, which has the toggles on it's a little bit more casual. Or you might go for a double-breasted style of coat, which actually looks quite smart. I have a nice green one I've had for years. I bought from Andrea Moore. I'm in the market actually to get a new coat. I think I'll get one made if I go overseas again. But there's some fantastic coats around. Ted Baker does great coats. Saba does great suiting. There's some really good brands out there for buying a coat if you want to buy one. Q and Veronica Main always have great coats through their winter collections. So you can look for classic colours if you wanted one in camel or cream, navy. And I would say try for a wool cashmere or wool cashmere blend. So a little hack, and one of the things that I wish I'd done is when I was in China last year, we went to Shanghai, there were some fantastic tailors and manufacturers there that we visited. We went to the silk market and I saw these amazing cashmere coats being produced, and the fabrics were amazing. There were so many choices of colours. The styles were great and the pricing was very competitive compared to what we have in New Zealand. And so I think going forward, if I do travel again, that's something that I'll look to do because they are beautiful and they're made to fit you and the quality is often really high. However, again, I do very much advocate, of course, supporting some of our New Zealand retailers. So again, just naming a few, Max does some great coats if you go somewhere like Flo and Frankie, Fashion Society here in Christchurch. Some of our bigger brands like Juliet Hogan always does a beautiful coat. Ruby does great coats. I've seen really good coats at Country Road. I've seen them at Witchery. They're Australian brands. I've seen some coats in Seed. I've seen great coats in Glassons. I've seen them across all retail. Pagani, Farmers does some awesome coats. So you can get a nice coat at any price point. I would say with a coat, buy the one that you can afford, the best that you can afford. So if you can afford something a bit more, you've got a bit more money to put into it, they will survive the test of time. I've got some coats I bought a Trelise Cooper coat when my grandmother passed, which was a long time ago. So she passed when she was 97. So I've got a lot of things, I think. Yeah. And she passed and left me a little bit of money. And I was just thinking about this, remembering when it was. I would have had maybe Poppy was born. She was born. She's 21. So it would have been 20 years ago I bought this coat and I never forgot it. It's really cool. It's cream. It's a Trelise Cooper coat. It was a one-off and I wanted to remember her with the money she gave me. And it was an investment and it's lovely. In fact, I'm going to swear it this winter if I'm going out this week, I will. So I'll talk about it on Instagram. If you want to see the coat my grandmother bought for me when she passed, or I used with some of the money she left me, then you can have a look at that. It's cream and it's from Trelise Cooper. So it's a classic style, 20 years and it's still going strong. And I definitely see this with coats. I see them even in pre-loved stores, some quite historical pieces, looking amazing for quite a long period of time. So that's the coat. And again, very much I would suggest it's a good time to buy now. Some of our retailers have sales on. So if you are price sensitive, it would be a good time to have a look and see what's out there. Sportscraft, also Australian brand, very prevalent here in New Zealand, does a great coat. And when I was in Australia, interestingly, not as many coats available because it's just not as cold. Particularly in Brisbane, I was up in Brisbane around the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, and it really is the Sunshine Coast. A lightweight coat is really all you need, not our massive, intense puffers that we need here in Christchurch. So what other accessories do we need when it's cold? So at this time of the year, if I'm going out in the evening, I'm probably doing the full gamut of accessories. So I'm looking for a scarf. And again, I'm staying with those natural fibers, silk, wool, cashmere blend. something that's warm, something I can tolerate around my neck area. Because if you keep this top neck area warm, often you find that the rest of you is warm. So yeah, something like that's really good. I have a couple of good ones. I have a really nice Louis Vuitton scarf. It's the only luxury piece of clothing I have. And I bought it some years ago. It's really good. It's the right color. It's a great cashmere scarf. I love it. And I do wear it when it's cold, and it really does go with everything. So that was a good investment piece for me. I've got some really plain color. I've got a gold, sort of creamy, goldy beige colored silk scarf, which does well. Then a few patterned, interesting ones. So this time of the year, they're all getting a bit of an outing because of the temperature. And then gloves. So if you want gloves, I honestly look for sleeker styles. Like Icebreaker does some just plain black ones. I've got some leather gloves. Now, again, if you're not into leather or natural fibers, there's other options as well. But I will always buy gloves when I go somewhere. So again, I've purchased gloves in the heat when I've been overseas. Italy is amazing for gloves, by the way, amazing. So if you want some really good leather gloves, they are fantastic. Spain's good. You can buy them in New Zealand as well. So I've got a wee bag of nice quality gloves. I think if I ever move to a warmer climate, I'm not going to probably even use them, but they are good now at the moment when it's really cold here in New Zealand and you do need to go out in the morning or evening. Also, I will put on a hat. So if it's really cold, I'll also wear a hat to keep my head warm. So those are some accessories that you might need. Footwear, look, boots are a really good winter corporate staple. You can wear calf, length, knee-high leather boots with midi skirts, wear dressy leather loafers or Oxfords as well. So they are also really, really useful. I tend to think in terms of corporate shoes or boots, we're looking really at knee-high or calf-length boots. Being careful about what skirt length or trousers you wear with them. That makes a difference as to how corporate they'll look. Dressy leather loafers. I really love loafers. They're a great shoe. They're flat, so if you're not into a heel, they can be a bit more comfortable. Oxfords, which is a lace-up version, can look really smart for work. If you're in a corporate environment, which is indoor and you're not doing a load of walking, you might find a nice pump really comfortable. So a pair of, heels, which are smart to keep your feet warm. I'd go for like lovely merino dress socks if you're wearing the loafers or boots, so they do make a difference. Sheer stockings, honestly, can actually keep you warm. Like I've been known to wear sheer stockings on a cool night, just with a long pair of boots. You can hardly see them, but they just give you the extra layer. Really great hat with sheer stockings too. It's just they have that fitted piece up through the stomach and crotch and bum area. They can be nice and sort of smoothing. Let's say smoothing. Actually, maybe the next podcast needs to be about shapewear. So yeah, if you want some inspiration for cold weather corporate style, check out what I'm wearing as I'm working through this week. I have got a lot of corporate things coming up, and I will always make sure that I'm warm but comfortable, because if you are working, you can get moving and you might find that too many layers gets a bit cloying and hot. So you need to be able to take things off, just keeping in mind that natural fibers are way better conductors of heat than synthetics, and they'll also do well if you do overheat in an environment which is heated and start to perspire. You'll find that the natural fibers do a whole lot better as well. So I've spoken again for 30 minutes. I can't believe I have, just with some hacks about winter corporate wardrobes. So keep in mind that layering is key. So nice natural fibers for base layers or fibers that you really resonate with. Fine layers that go underneath your current clothes. A longer sleeved shirt or piece is often a little bit more comfortable than adding a blazer or jacket in a thicker fabric or in a velvet, tweed, wool, or something that does have that nice warm fiber to it can make all the difference. Making sure that you have the right hosiery, socks, etc. to go underneath the garments. Like if you're wearing wide-legged trousers, you can put long socks underneath. Making sure that you've got the right shoes as well. So a closed-toe shoe, obviously, and something that comes up the leg can keep you a lot warmer. Like I'm wearing boots today and I feel quite warm, probably because I'm doing the podcast as well. So that pretty much covers off how to dress stylishly in winter at work. Remember also, if you want some help with any of this, so you need a little bit of direction, or you're like, I find winter clothes really hard, I don't have enough winter clothes, contact me. It's a really great time in the next month to buy clothes. Super good time. So check out what your schedule looks like. Reach out to me. I do even have some weekend slots available over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So if you want to check in with me and make some bookings, because when we turn over into September, we're starting to look at spring fashion again. Honestly, who would have known? It all starts to come around. So team, thank you so much for listening to me again today on the podcast. I really appreciate all of you. Kia kaha, and please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Have a great week. I look forward to checking in again next week on the podcast Style for Life.
Thank you for listening to the Style for Life podcast. Don't forget, you deserve to feel fabulous at every age, every stage, and at every size. If you're loving the show, hit subscribe and leave a review. It helps more amazing people like you find their way back to life through style. Thanks again. Until next time.